How difficult is it going to be to persuade them that you do need a new resolution before the inspectors go in?
The chief thing will be to persuade everybody that we need a new resolution because the inspectors have got to go in and disarm the Iraqi regime of these chemical and biological, potentially nuclear weapons without any restriction or hindrance. And the old resolutions don't do the trick. So we need a new resolution to make it absolutely clear to the Iraqi regime that disarmament is the goal. It will be complied with one way or another.
How much more difficult is it going to be to persuade people who are not convinced now that the CIA is saying, in fact, it's going to be more likely to trigger Saddam Hussein to use his weapons of mass destruction if there is an attack on Iraq?
The risk with Iraq developing these chemical or biological or nuclear weapons has never been that we think they're about to launch an immediate attack on America or Britain. It's the danger in the region where they've already started 2 major wars, and where if they use these weapons, the conflict will never be confined simply to the countries in the region. And that's precisely why the United Nations made it so clear that Iraq had to disarm itself of all these weapons, and it's why we have to make sure that they comply with that demand of the international community.
Now, your trip to Russia is also seen by some as an attempt to get a price for Russia's support, or to negotiate a price for Russia's support. Is it?
It's really an attempt to say to everybody, look, there is common ground in the international community. One, that Iraq does pose a threat with these weapons of mass destruction. If it has chemical or biological or nuclear weapons, because of its past, because of the threat that it poses, we can't allow that situation to continue. We have to disarm them. And secondly, that the best way of doing that is with the broadest international support through the United Nations. Now, there'll be all sorts of interests that countries have, problems that they have of an economic nature, for example, in relation to Russia. We have to take account of all those questions, but the key thing is to get everyone on the same page, saying to Iraq, there will be disarmament of these dangerous weapons. How you're disarmed is up to you. You either comply with the will of the United Nations or you're disarmed in a different way.
But there's no price tag attached to Russian support?
It's not a question of a price tag, but it is a question of making sure that everybody understands why we need to take this action and why it is in the interest of the whole of the international community that Iraq can't develop these weapons.